Okay, Mary, it's your life.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Perth East Council this 15th of February. I would like to call the meeting to order, and I ask that everyone please bow their heads for a moment of reflection. Thank you. I need a motion to confirm the agenda as the agenda is prepared for February 15 meeting of the Council of the Township of Perth East be approved as received. Moved by Jerry, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Okay, if you have pecuniary interest, you can disclose that now or as the meeting goes along. Under consent agenda, we have 14 items. Is there anyone with any questions on any of the items or anything anyone would like pulled? Hugh?
Pulled, but in 5.17, the launch OPA 203, I'm pretty sure it mentions that they live in Ellis, and that should be Northeast Stoke. That's all.
Okay. Anyone else have anything they would like looked at? If not, then we need a motion that we will accept all items 5.1.1 to 14 as set out in the consent agenda for February 15, 2022 regular meeting of council be received for information, and that the minutes of February 1, 2022 regular council meeting be adopted. Moved by Amanda. Second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. Okay, so with your permission, we have no delegations. And with council's permission, we're going to just rearrange a little bit in the next public meetings and hearings, because Adam is right now at the Perth South Council meeting. And until he joins us, so he has the first item under public meetings. And maybe we'll just, if Melissa could join us, we will jump right down to planning, and we'll start with the 8.1.1, the proposed County of Perth official plan amendment 202. That's where we'll start, and then we'll go backwards as the night proceeds. So Melissa, thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you too.
The floor is yours. So
okay, thank you. Let me just share my screen. Can you all see this?
yes, we can.
Okay. So this is an official plan amendment 202. It's dealing with secondary dwelling units in settlement areas. This is in response to Bill 140, which was introduced in 2012, and Bill 108 from 2019, which essentially permits 3 dwelling units per lot. And both highlighted the importance of accessory dwellings as a tool to help with housing affordability. These units provide the homeowner with additional income that can offset housing costs while also increasing the rental housing supply in the community. So what is this amendment about? A secondary dwelling unit is a self-contained residential unit with a private kitchen, bathroom facilities, and sleeping areas. Second unit can be either within a primary dwelling, such as a basement apartment, or within an accessory building on the same property as a primary dwelling. They're specifically permitted through section 6.3a of the County of Perth official plan, and are a distinct part of the province's More Homes, More Choice initiative. Section 3a contains 2 parameters specifically limiting second units in an accessory building, in that it requires the building to be at least 5 years old. I have highlighted these items for you on the screen. So the building has to be, accessory building has to be at least 5 years old, before a secondary unit is permitted, and by directing lower tiers to require a zoning amendment if an addition to the accessory structure is proposed for a second unit. So the first part with regards to that 5-year requirement. So these are the points that, or comments rather, that speak to that requirement and why we think these two requirements should be removed. But firstly, specifically relating to the age of that or 5-year requirement, the province removed this requirement based on the age of a primary dwelling. And likewise, it seems prudent to remove that criteria from accessory building as well. It is not clear that why the 5-year criteria is in place now to evaluate its intent when contemplating an amendment. Dwellings have greater side and rear yard setback than accessory buildings do. It is possible thus to consider an appropriate yard setback might be what an appropriate setback might be for an accessory buildings within ARU in them, and that the zoning process doesn't have to rely on the age of a structure. Retrofit or conversion of an accessory building can be regulated through zoning to mitigate potential incompatibilities. And the criteria impedes development of a second dwelling unit in a building that theoretically the neighbors are already used to. The criteria forces retrofit or conversion of accessory buildings instead of new builds. So these are the comments in support of the removal of the requirement pertaining to that 5-year requirement for accessory structures. And this is about the zoning amendment itself. The municipality, Perth East, currently requires that zoning amendment, but here we are proposing, or the county is rather proposing, that it be removed. And the reason is, the removal of text requiring a zoning amendment purely on the basis that an addition is needed is also recommended. If an addition is proposed that does not meet the current provisions of a zone, then a zoning amendment or minor variance is still warranted and would occur through existing processes and include public notice and engagement. If an addition is proposed that is compliant with zoning, then the developer is forced to either seek relief from the official plan requirement, which is the current situation, or go through the zoning amendment for no specific reason. So as a result, we are proposing, the county is proposing this amendment, and we're seeking your endorsement tonight, and hopefully this amendment will get approved soon. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Melissa. Are there any questions from members of council? Andrew?
Yeah, Planner Gassick, I tried to communicate with you this week and I kind of lost track of that. So I'm going to throw things at you, and it's just, it's not intentional. So is there any provision for, say we have a triplex or whatever, we're going to add another unit to, we're already probably really close on parking and that type of intensification. Has there been any provision or any thought to give to what this will do for parking and crowding and things like that? Local amenities, various items like that outside of, this broad scope of what we're talking about. There's a lot of subtle kind of soft things that this type of intensification, adding 2 dwelling units to an existing lot. And, was there any talk about, the second question I would have, is there any talk about owner occupied, or this could be possibly just pure rental unit with an additional rental in the house and an additional rental in a detached structure? So is there any owner occupied provision to this formula, or what are we looking at?
So through you, Madam Mayor. So this is the policy of the county, prescribed by the county. And this is just modifying these 2 sort of modifications to the official plan are just kind of following what the province has essentially described. We're only proposing to remove the 5-year requirement and to make it easier for somebody wishing to do an addition with the intent to provide more space for a secondary dwelling unit. Currently in Perth East, there are no zoning bylaw provisions for secondary dwelling units. The province has allowed the secondary dwelling units only in 3 types of developments, and they are like a single family home, townhomes, and semis. So you can't, certain zones, so for example, our R2 zone in Perth East already permits like triplexes or duplexes. So certain zones, sort of medium density zone, which is certainly R2, that is already permitted. But these would only apply as like add-ons to these specific types of structures. Now, do keep in mind that we don't have those provisions in Perth East as of yet. So I will be bringing an amendment, a housekeeping amendment in front of this council soon, hopefully, so that there's conformity between like Perth East zoning bylaw and the official plan. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you.
In terms of parking, I forgot to mention, yes, you're absolutely right. So zoning bylaw, like in Perth East, there's no intention to vary the parking requirement. I think the province has said with the latest bill 108, that the requirement will be 1 extra parking per dwelling unit. Now, some municipalities, but mostly like in more like urban settings, have waived that sort of requirement, additional parking for a secondary dwelling unit. And I can see that being applicable in like more dense urban settings where there is like public transit. But certainly when we bring it in front of like Perth East Council, we'll be talking about parking and what the appropriate requirement is going to be.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else with questions? Nope, see no questions. We do have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the proposed County of Perth official plan amendment, OPA 2202, revision to section 6.3A, second dwelling units report, prepared by the Perth County Manager of Planning and Planner, dated February 15, 2022 for information, and that council recommend that the County of Perth Council approve OPA 202 affecting settlement area lands countywide. A mover and a seconder for that, moved by Jeremy. Second by Jerry. Is there any more comments or questions? Andrew?
So if I leave Planner Gassick out of my personal opinion on this, and I think of opinion of a lot of people in the towns and villages and hamlets, just because this is a planning report and it's talking about some type of modification to the intensification in some ways, I'd be happy with a 0% growth for 10 years. I think we really need to take this carefully. You know, in this case, this is just a minor kind of a housekeeping issue. I think that, you know, we have to look at the bigger picture on this. And in this case, this is minor. I don't have any problem with this, but in general, I think we need a little more broader discussion, probably next term for whoever's around, on what we really want to do in Perth County and what type of business we want to run here overall. Is it agriculture? Is it intensification? Is it, you know, intensification and all the issues that come along with that? So anyway, that's my speech. So just kind of a heads up on how I'm thinking, and a lot of other people in the area are thinking. Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? I guess the only comment I will make, this is coming from the province. This is about affordable housing and how we can make more affordable housing within our communities. And this is one of the ways that's, unfortunately, it's a reality. People cannot afford to buy houses. And this is a way to mitigate that. So, Andrew?
No, I can appreciate that. What my comment about the owner occupied is we're running into problems in the larger centers where it's become an investment. And that means that nobody can afford these houses, and it's probably driving the high cost of housing. I don't want to see that start happening around here where some deep pockets with preferred interest rates come in. And this isn't me talking, this is actuals from watching CPAC. You know, it's a big deal. We want to keep that nonsense east of here, in my opinion, and we just have to guard against it. So yes, we need some type of growth or not growth, places for people to live. But I can tell you there's a lot of young people in their 20s and 20s have a lot more money saved up than my first house price was, and they still can't afford a house. So more intensification and renting an apartment isn't really home ownership, right? They want to have something to shoot for and not just be renting from somebody else. So I'd like to see like owner occupied provisions to some of this stuff, something to make it a little more community friendly. So discussion for another time, but I appreciate the time to speak. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? If not, all in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay, Adam has been able to join us, so now we're going to back up and we're going to go to our first public meeting. I declare this virtual public meeting to be open. This virtual public meeting is being held to consider a proposed zoning bylaw amendment affecting property owned by 598758 Ontario Inc., Gerald and Rita Schaefer, Concession 4, Lot 6, Ellis Ward, 4352 Road 122. This virtual meeting is an opportunity for the township to advise the public of the purpose and intent of the amendment and receive their input prior to considering adoption of an implementing bylaw. If a bylaw is adopted to implement the zoning amendment, a notice of passing will be forwarded by prepaid first-class mail to various agencies of interest and others who have requested notice. An appeal to the local planning appeal tribunal objecting to the adoption of the bylaw may be filed with the clerk not later than the date stated on the notice. Any person attending this meeting who wishes to receive written notice of a bylaw passed to implement the amendment is asked to give their name and mailing address to the clerk following this meeting. No written notice, except as previously noted, will be given unless requested by email following the meeting. Due to COVID-19, public meeting procedures have been adjusted to adhere to provincial guidelines for holding electronic meetings. Any person who wished to be heard regarding this matter was asked to register prior to this meeting by the deadline of Monday, February 14, 2022 at 12 noon with the municipal clerk. I will now call on Perth County Planner Adam to present the planning report and recommendations. Adam, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. I'm going to share screen and walk council very briefly through this proposed zoning amendment. And I trust everyone can see the air photo.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So the application before council tonight is for a zoning bylaw amendment, which is a condition of a surplus farm severance application that was endorsed by Perth East Council on December 21st of 2021. And the surplus farmhouse severance was everything in yellow here, and then the retained farm lot is everything in red. So this property is southwest corner of 122 and line 39, which is just northwest of the city of Stratford, just outside of town. So as a condition of consent, the rezoning will place the severed lot into the agriculture special 1 zone. And that will basically recognize the single detached dwelling, drive shed, and utilities as permitted uses. And the retained lands will be rezoned to the agriculture special 5, which amongst other things will basically prohibit a new house from being built on this property. And that's those are standard conditions of consent that we impose, which includes this rezoning tonight. Property was circulated to all neighbors. We didn't receive any comments or correspondence. Fairly straightforward application, council. And here again is this is the bylaw to amend the mapping for the property. I'd be happy to answer any questions that council may have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Adam. Are there any questions from members of council? Oh, sorry. I'm off the script. No one registered to make presentation or speak in opposition of the application. No one registered to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent. The applicant or the applicant's agent did not register to make a presentation or speak in respect to the application. And now, are there any questions from members of council? No. Okay. Council will consider a resolution regarding the planning report recommendation following the conclusion of the virtual public meeting. Bylaw number 213/2021 to amend the approval of the zoning application will be considered later within the council agenda. The virtual public hearing is now concluded and will continue with the regular meeting of council. So we do have a motion. And it reads that the Council of the Township of Perth East received the report dated February 15, 2022, prepared by the planner entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment Number D14-Z13-2021-PE, submitted by 598758 Ontario Inc., affecting lands described as Lot 6, Concession 4, Ellis Ward, 4352 Road 122 for information, and that council approves zoning bylaw amendment Z13-2021 submitted by 598758 Ontario Inc. as follows. Number 1, that the area shown in hatching on the attached draft zoning bylaw amendment number 213-2021 shall be removed from the agriculture zone A of bylaw number 30-1999 and shall be rezoned to the agriculture exception 1 A-1 zone on key map 44 of Schedule A to bylaw number 30-1999, the provisions of section 6.9.1 of bylaw number 30-1999 shall be applied to the subject lands. And number 2, that the area shown in stripling on the attached draft zoning bylaw amendment number 213-2021 shall be removed from the agriculture zone A of bylaw number 30-1999 and shall be rezoned to the agriculture exception 5 A-5 zone on key map 44 of Schedule A to bylaw number 30-1999, the provisions of section 6.9.5 of bylaw number 30-1999 shall be applied to the subject lands. Wow. So do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Andrew. Second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we do have 2 public hearings, so we're going to move to them next. And the first one is council now temporarily adjourned to sit as Committee of Adjustment pursuant to Section 45 of the Planning Act. I now declare this virtual public hearing open. This virtual public hearing is being held to consider an application affecting property currently owned by Fabian Korzinski and described as Part Plan 331, Lot 141, Southeast Hope Ward, 3971 Burn Street, Shakespeare. The purpose of this hearing is to give the committee and the public an opportunity to hear all interested persons with respect to the proposed application and receive their input, and for the committee to make a decision on the application. All persons attending this hearing will be given an opportunity to be heard or make a presentation. Committee members may ask questions for the purposes of clarifying the application, but are asked to withhold comments on this application until all present have been given an opportunity to be heard. Due to COVID-19, public hearing procedures have been adjusted to adhere to provincial guidelines for holding electronic meetings. Any person who wished to be heard regarding this matter was asked to register prior to this meeting by the deadline of Monday, February 14, 2022 at 12 noon with the municipal clerk. Any person who wishes to receive written notice of the decision made by the Committee of Adjustment is asked to email their name and mailing address to the Secretary Treasurer following this hearing. An appeal to the local planning appeal tribunal objecting to the decision made at this hearing may be filed with the Secretary Treasurer not later than March 7, 2022. No written notice, except as previously noted, will be given unless requested at this time. I now will call on Planner Melissa to present the planning report and recommendations. Melissa, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, so this minor variance application is for the property at 3971 Burn Street. So the owners are proposing to create a dwelling unit below grade in a cellar, which is more than 50% below grade, whereas the zoning bylaw only permits dwelling units in a basement. That is, if basement is more than 50% below, above grade rather. In all other aspects, the existing lot will remain the same. The lot and the building will remain absolutely the same. As you can see from these images, the owner is essentially proposing to outfit the existing basement by adding a kitchen and creating a separate dwelling space in the basement. The unit already has a bathroom and a bedroom. The zoning bylaw definition section 3 distinguishes between the cellar and the basement. And zoning bylaw permits dwelling units in a basement, but does not necessarily permit them in the cellar. And hence this requirement for minor variance. To this effect, the applicant will conform to the building code. They will adjust the windows in the dwelling unit below grade and provide appropriate window wells, in essence, conform to all other aspects of the building code. The proposed minor variance will not impact the character of the neighborhood and the development pattern. The minor variance is suitable and minor given the fact that the applicant is only outfitting the existing space below grade. The zoning bylaw, in addition, already permits duplexes, triplexes, and converted dwellings as of right in the R2 zone. And in conclusion, the proposal satisfies the 4 variant tests, and planning recommends approval. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. Tammy Verellen has registered to speak in opposition. Tammy, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Just my main concern would be the changing the whole neighborhood aspect, having complete strangers come and go. There's always extra traffic and everything with new people, and adding another apartment to the houses around here. I just don't think that's feasible. Getting to the fire exits, the house, having extra moisture and mold and stuff in the basement. I don't think that would be healthy wise to allow people to live there. I don't know, just being a neighbor, I think it would reduce the value of our houses, the safety of our children.
Okay, is that it?
Basically, yes.
Okay, thanks, Tammy.
Yep.
No one registered to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent. The applicant or the applicant's agent did not register to make a presentation or speak with respect to the application. Are there any questions from committee members? Andrew?
Thank you, Mary. I'm just wondering, is there any consideration for this type of development given for extra parking?
Also, through you, Madam Mayor, they will have to conform to the requirements, all requirements for parking to accommodate the unit. And I believe they have enough space on their lot to accommodate all required parking, including for this additional dwelling unit.
Okay, any other questions from committee members? Seeing no questions, committee will now consider a motion regarding the application. The motion that we have is the Township of Perth East Committee of Adjustment received the report dated February 15, 2022, prepared by the planner entitled Minor Variance D13-A02-2022-PE by Fabian Korzinski affecting lands described as Lot 141, Reference Plan 331, Southeast Hope Ward, 3971 Burn Street for information, and that the Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance D13-A02-2022-PE affecting lands as described above and known municipally as 3971 Burn Street with the following condition. That condition is number 1, that the owner obtains a building permit for the dwelling unit below grade within 2 years from the committee decision. Do we have a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Jeremy. Second by Daryl. All in favor? Andrew, you have a question? We did have opportunity for questions.
This, Madam Mayor, this would be the comment section of the agenda, correct? So as I spoke to before, and this is a separate issue than the last one, this would be the first type of this development that I am aware of in the area. We have other places that were designed as a triplex or multi-residential unit. I know the province has said that we need to do this. I'm thinking that Toronto makes rules for Toronto. There's some concerns with the house. I know that, and I'm saying this because I know people have built raised bungalows and put in the proper size windows for this type of development in the future. I realize, planning does a great job and they believe this fits, but yet it's up to us to vote for whether we want this type of development widespread in our communities. So I'm not going to support this. I don't expect to get any support for my non-support, but I think it's not something I'm in favor of at this time. Thank you.
If I just want to add one thing, Madam Mayor. This property is already zoned R2, which is like medium density residential. It already permits as a right duplexes and triplexes. If this basement were more than 50% above grade, we wouldn't be even talking about this variance. So basement units are permitted. Dwelling units in a cellar at the moment are not. So that's why we're here tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. Anyone else with comments? If not, all in favor of the motion? 1, 2, 3, carried. Okay, thanks, Melissa. Now we're going to our second public meeting, and this virtual public hearing is being held to consider an application affecting property currently owned by Eli and Arlene Kipper and described as Concession 8 East Part, Lot 17, Mornington Ward, 4004, line 73. And I'm going to not read all the preamble again because it's the same as the last one. And I'm just going to jump right down now, but we're going to call on Planner Adam to present the planning report and recommendations. So Adam, the floor is yours.
Your Worship, members of council, thank you. I'm going to share screen and walk through this application. And I trust everybody can see the text of the report.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So the application in front of committee this evening is a minor variance to reduce the side yard setback for an agricultural building. And the Perth zoning bylaw currently requires a 30-meter or 100-foot setback. And the applicant is proposing to go 10.66 meters to the side lot line, which is about 34 feet. And so that's a variance of 19.34 meters or about 60 feet, just a little over 60 feet. Just one note, this applicant actually did obtain a minor variance for this identical development back in 2019, and it was approved by committee. And there was a condition that they obtain a building permit within 2 years, otherwise the variance would lapse. And unfortunately, that variance did lapse February of last year. So they are back before committee tonight, identical application, but we had to unfortunately start from scratch. Just by way of background, the building proposed is a 5,000 square foot implement shed. And just show committee, some air photos. So the property is just north of Millbank on line 73. The area consists of large farm lots. The buildings are all pretty much spread out. And the farm cluster on this property, the dwelling is here. There's a large barn here. And they would like to put that drive shed right here, just to the east, the west of the existing barn. And I'll just show a sketch that the applicant submitted. So this is the building cluster. This is the proposed shed. It would be 35 feet off the side lot line. When I looked at the air photos, if this shed was to comply with the 100-foot setback, it would actually push that shed into the manure storage area. And then it would make a tight access situation here with the existing silos. So one of the reasons for the variance is just to keep this area open for access and not interfere with the outdoor manure storage. So we didn't receive any comments on this application as a result of circulation. Staff have reviewed the application against the 4 tests, and we are recommending approval subject to the 1 condition in the staff report. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that committee may have. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. No one registered to make a presentation to speak or speak in opposition. No one registered to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent. The applicant or the applicant's agent did not register to make a presentation or speak with respect to the application. Are there any questions from committee members? Seeing no questions, the committee will now consider a motion regarding the application. So we do have a motion that the Township of Perth East Committee of Adjustment receive the report dated February 15, 2022, prepared by the planner entitled Minor Variance D13-A03-2022-PE by Eli and Arlene Kipper, affecting lands described as east part of Lot 17, Concession 8, Mornington Ward 4004, line 73 for information. And that the Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance D13-A03-2022-PE to permit the construction of an implement shed having a side yard setback of 10.66 meters or 35 feet, whereas the zoning bylaw requires a minimum side yard setback of 30 meters and 98.4 feet for accessory structures. And that the approval shall be subject to the following conditions. Number 1, that the owner applicant obtain within 2 years the necessary building permit to the satisfaction of the chief building official, ensuring that the approved variance applies only to the proposed farm implement shed as shown / illustrated in the application attachments. We have a mover and a seconder, moved by Jeremy, second by Andrew. Is there any comments? All in favor? Carried. I declare this virtual public hearing closed. Okay, so we'll go back to regular council. We did the planning report already, so now we'll jump down to other reports. There's nothing from the CAO. We do have from the clerk, the canine control report agreement. And Eric, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So yes, our canine control agreement with the Stratford Perth, now known as the Humane Society of Kitchener Waterloo in Stratford Perth, has lapsed, or it's going to lapse at the end of this month. So staff have reviewed it, and we are recommending to continue our working relationship with the Humane Society. It is beneficial for us in the office as well as residents. As you can see, there has been a substantial amount of calls over the years to the Stratford Perth Humane Society. And yeah, that's why we're recommending approval to extend the agreement for 4 years.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Any questions for Eric? Seeing no questions, we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive a report prepared by the acting municipal clerk dated February 15, 2022, entitled Canine Control Agreement, Humane Society of Kitchener Waterloo and Stratford Perth for information, and that council approve entering into an agreement with the Humane Society of Kitchener Waterloo and Stratford Perth to provide canine control services for the Township of Perth East, and that council approve giving 3 readings to bylaw 08-2022, being a bylaw authorizing the mayor and the acting clerk to enter into an agreement with the Humane Society of Kitchener Waterloo and Stratford Perth. moved by Jerry. Second by Hugh. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, that's it, Eric. Nothing from finance. We have nothing from public works. Building and bylaw enforcement, we have the review of the 2022 permit fee schedule. And Wes, are you taking the lead on this?
Yes, thank you, Worship. Members of council, building fee calculations have been made using 3-year historical building activity data. And based on the 3-year average of the building activity from 2019 to 2021, the existing fees approved under the bylaw 60/2021 will fully fund the 2021 building department budget. And therefore, there's no fee changes recommended at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Wes. Any questions for Wes? No questions. We have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report dated February 15, 2022, entitled Review of 2022 Permit Fee Schedule prepared by the Treasurer and Chief Building Official for information, and that Schedule H to Bylaw 60-2021 remain unchanged. Do we have a mover? Moved by Jeremy, second by Carol. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, we'll move to recreation. The first one we have is a Shakespeare walking path. Becky, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So this report is with regards to the Shakespeare Optimist request. They are looking to revitalize their existing trail that goes through their property. You can see that it's not a very good drawing there, but in that first photo there, they want to revitalize it and pave it. And then they want to extend that trail onto the township property, which is in the green. So because it's not their property, they're asking council for support and approval to do this project onto township property.
Okay, thanks, Becky. Any questions from members of council? Seeing no questions, we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth.
There are some, sorry, Ron.
Oh, sorry, Daryl, didn't see you.
Oh,
Go
there's
ahead.
Andrew. Andrew is first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Just a quick question. Do we know any dollar values on any of this request, or will that's going to come in budget?
Yeah, the estimated total project is $152,000, and they are bringing forth a facility funding application, which will come to budget committee.
Okay. Do you have a question too, Daryl, or are you just telling me that? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I've heard some shakings of this, and this has been talked about for a year, a little bit. It's interesting. We'll see when it comes forward. Yeah, sure, adds up the price of these. Oh boy, these paths. That's a lot of money. No, there's a bit of facility or asset management that goes with these as well. Not so much. Can you help me out there, Becky?
Yeah, so the trail that will become onto our property will become our asset, and it will go into our asset management plan. They are proposing that it be asphalted, where the majority of the other trails in our area type thing are just the stone dust. Obviously in time that'll have to be replaced, which is costly, but then it's less on maintenance. You don't have to worry about the weeds and that sort of thing. So it's kind of a
Okay.
Just to follow up there, quick question for Wes. Do we find ourselves doing weed maintenance and grading of these trails? Is that something that keeps us kind of busy at times?
Yeah, we are kept busy especially in the spring when things are growing. Once you get the weeds out, it's just basically once every month or so type of maintenance. But then we cut the grass along the edge twice a year as well too.
Okay, anyone else with questions? No, are we ready? Okay, that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the Recreation Facility Funding Shakespeare Walking Path Report prepared by the Recreation and Community Service Manager, February 15, 2022 for information, and that Council approve the extension of the existing Optimist Club walking path onto the Township of Perth East property as outlined in the report. Do we have a seconder for that? Moved by Jeremy, second by Carol. Comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, and the second report is the All Wheels Park project. Becky, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So as council will recall, April 2021, the All Wheels Parks Committee came to council to request for the support of the All Wheels Park in Milverton, asked for approval of the project and confirmation of its location. At that time, council asked that it be looked at again after the parks review plan was done. So it has been completed, as you're aware, and based on their research, it did recommend that one be looked into for Milverton. The All Wheels Park Committee are keen to get going with it and are asking for council's support for them to start fundraising for the project. But before they can do any fundraising, they need council support to confirm that they can and that it would be located in the area as illustrated in the photo on the page. They are understanding that nothing will start until full fundraising is completed, and they are also asking that if approved, that the finances go through the township office so that tax receipts can be given out to donators, and also then they can do the expenses to the office as well, so that they can save on the HST for the project. Again, the project will then become our property, as it is on our property, and it'll go into our asset management plan.
Okay, questions for Becky? Carol?
Kind of questions, more so comments. Since the beginning this came in, yeah, there's been great involvement by the group for sure. Very well organized, passionate. I believe very well laid out. Again, I know a little bit about these. I have a son that I take to the skate park at Stratford. They do get very good use. It does seem very well laid out, and it's very nice to see how they're willing to step up right away with fundraising. They really want to make that a big component of the whole build. So no, it's well laid out, good spot. I know Public Works will keep an eye on it. That's all approved. So no, it's interesting. It's well laid out, and again, the component that they want to fundraise heavy, they're willing to do that. That says a lot for any community. Thanks.
Can you get off mute?
I hear you recognize me, Rhonda. Sorry, I think you were frozen maybe.
Oh.
Just a quick question. Same question I asked with the Shakespeare thing. Basically, a cost to the taxpayer. What are we looking at for a breakdown of costs here? Is this 100% to be driven by the community, or is there going to be an application to the rec funding procurement program? What can we expect?
Yeah, they will be coming next to the budget committee for a request, in hopes that there'll be some sort of support there. But and they're also doing their own fundraising.
So would they be applying for this? I'm sorry, I can't remember what the program was.
The facility funding, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we know the
Yes.
balance on that fund at this point, or that's kind of a tough question to ask, just throwing it out there, but is there enough for multiple projects, or is it kind of not a big deal? We can talk about
Rhonda. She's maybe looking it up right now. I don't know.
I'm not looking at it up right now, but that will be fully presented to you at the budget meeting. So at this meeting, we're not considering the donation request. They're just asking for the community group appointment. So that will be coming at the budget meeting.
And just a quick follow-up, if I may, and Councillor Hurlick touched on it. What would the typical asset management money being put away yearly for this be for any project this size? Is it 10%? Does it vary per project?
Did you direct that to me, Councillor McAlpine?
Whoever wants to answer.
Yes, he did.
Sorry, I just didn't hear quite what you said. I can start anyway. So putting away for an annual requirement, first of all, you need to know the life cycle of the asset and the historical cost. So the cost divided by the replacement years, then you add on your indexing. So if there's several components, there are different life cycles for different parts. If it's all one unit, one life cycle, it's very easy to calculate. But that's all done once we get all the data.
And Madam Treasurer, will we see that at budget?
You won't see the full annual requirement. You're going to get a decent estimate because we'll have a historical estimate, what we believe will be a historical estimate and a life cycle. So it won't be perfect, but you'll get an idea.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Amanda?
Okay. So Becky, I just have some questions around process just from my own understanding, just because I haven't been around for that long in terms of seeing some of the fundraising projects with bigger initiatives like this. So if I understand correctly, so if council were to proceed to say, yes, go ahead with the fundraising, is there any parameters in terms of like communications in terms of timeline? And is there any like risk or I don't want to say liability, like, because if the funds are channeling through the township and we're issuing tax receipts, I just want to understand, like, if we're doing that, like, will that happen over a consecutive like number of years? Has the group come up with an idea in terms of like timeline? Because like, so for example, like say they fundraise for a year and it's not, hypothetically not quite what they were hoping, like what happens to the funds? Like if it's in like with the township and issuing tax receipts on things that might not happen, like, so if it's fundraising over consecutive years, like I'm just trying to understand if there's any like risk. Maybe I'm not understanding it 100%. I just haven't been around for these types of projects. So I don't know if you have any, could explain the process on that front. So I'm clear on that.
Yeah, so first of all, they're hoping to have the project start next year, so 2023. Rhonda can answer the rest of the question.
Okay, normally we do an actual agreement with the association. Normally it comes with an actual dollar funding request as well. And we have several terms in the agreement so that we try to protect ourselves as best we can. The asset will be on our property, will be our asset. The funds will all run through our books, all the revenue and expenditures. There'll be a project manager at Perth East as well to have some control and monitoring over it. So there will be a commitment by the township at some point that this project will go forward as the receipts go out. Donation receipts, we do keep track of the names and the addresses of those that are issued receipts, and the collateral is the actual asset, if that's helpful.
Just one follow-up, if I may. So if council were to approve tonight, we would enter in an agreement with this group. Is that what I'm understanding? Because that's to be clear,
Yes.
like that's what would happen. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, other questions or comments? Nope, seeing none. Okay, that we do have a motion that the council of Perth East receive the All Wheels Park project report prepared by the Recreation and Community Service Manager dated February 15, 2022 for information, and that council approve the All Wheels Park project as a community organization under the corporate donation policy number CA1-03-01 under the following conditions. Number one, that the revenue and expenses from the All Wheels Park project go through the township books. Number two, that the project be managed by the Recreation and Community Service Manager, and that council approve the site location for the All Wheels Park on the Perk property, and that council approve the request by the Milverton All Wheels Park Committee to commence fundraising for the All Wheels Park project. Do we have a mover? Moved by Jerry, second by Daryl. Are there any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, thanks, Becky.
Thank you.
We have no reports from fire. We have no correspondence. And council reports. Does anyone have a report that they need to bring forward tonight for a committee that they sit on? Nope. Okay, I don't even have any reports. So then we will go to bylaws. We have first, second, third, and final readings for bylaw 08-2022. That's to authorize the signing with the Humane Society. Bylaw 101-2022. It's a bylaw to provide an amendment to bylaw 113-2021 to the costly municipal drain in the Southeast Hope Ward and collection of the amended assessment. And the third bylaw is 2013-2021, a bylaw to amend bylaw 30-1999 for lot 6, concession 4, Ellis Ward, 4352 Road 22. So we need a motion to adopt those bylaws for a first, second, third, and final reading. Moved by Andrew, second by Jeremy. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we do not have a need for a closed session. Do we have any notice of motions? Any new business? Excuse me. Any announcements? Okay, we're down to the confirmatory bylaw. Bylaw number 09-2022, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of Council of the Township of Perth East at its regular meeting held on February 15, 2022, be read a first, second, and third time. Moved by Hugh, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. And the last motion of the night, that the meeting of the council be adjourned at 7:59. Moved by Jeremy, second by Daryl. All in favor?